Shinku has arrived. If you're looking for, well, my thoughts on where to put her in the tier list, we already did a video for that, but today we're going to be making our own tier list. This is going to be post-patch Shinku, but pre-patch for Hotori. What is going on, guys? Welcome back. It's Josh. Quick explanation of the tiers here. Tier 0 is going to be core. These are the units that will probably shape the meta when it comes to building a team around certain characters, or there's going to be like maybe one standout character that's just so flexible that they go right into the tier 0 core category. Tier 0.5, listen, some of the best characters in the game. We didn't have 0.5 tier last time, but I think we need to have it this time. These are gonna be some of the best characters you can have in your setup, and you're going to do wonders with them. Tier 1 is still a fantastic character, but maybe just a little bit underutilized currently. Maybe they need a little bit more cooking. Maybe I'm underrepresenting them as well, but a lot of the times you're still going to have a solid character in the tier 1 category. Tier 2 is going to be someone who's usable, but honestly, if you just used someone from the higher categories, you'd have a better time. And tier 3 is going to be a category of characters that I really do not recommend. So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. There's going to be a couple of characters that I think got a little bit better in this patch. Maybe we'll move like one character down. We'll have to see about that. In my opinion, I don't know if she's quite tier 0 core material anymore, but let's start with the big dog herself. All right, let's start with Shinku. Now, where am I gonna put Shinku at? We've seen a lot of like tier 0.5, we've seen a lot of tier 1, we've seen a lot of my character doesn't do damage, we've seen a lot of, I don't like aura farming when I'm standing around. You need A3 and A4 to make her useful. You can't play her without them. And honestly, I think this character, even as of right now, before Hotori has even arrived, is a tier 0 character. You're able to do and match the DPS of so many other characters at A0 or even above that. Like you're killing, floor 12, 12 in like 50 seconds at A0 if you have the rotation down. You know what you're doing. You have good modules, you have good consoles, even with like super ungeared teammates. We're talking like putting her with the main character in like a support version of Skia, and then you can even just throw in not even Nonali, you can throw in like Jinwan or Min or whatever, someone who actually doesn't work super well with the way that she's designed, and you can still do a bunch of damage with her. I think she is in that tier 0 category. She is that good, and well, I've just had a lot of fun playing with her as well. Some people don't like the playstyle of her, and I will say that it does feel a little weird with the aura farming aspect of her. We're active on this game with all of our characters. We're swapping around, quick swapping, making sure we're doing basic attacks, weaving our skills in, making sure we're using our support skills, our ultimates on time. And Shinku just kind of like with her menacing gaze passive kind of flies in the face of that gameplay. And it feels like it takes you forever to get up to 8-stack, 4-stack combo to instantly fill up her cycle energy as well as her ult energy again. But honestly, on average, it takes you only about 8 seconds to go from, I just got out of my Shinku ult, I have no cycle gauge, I have no ult energy. It takes you about like 8 seconds on average. It can be a little bit lower if the boss is super aggressive, or it could be a little bit longer if the boss is just deciding to like hang out and not really do a lot at that point in time to get back into your rotation with Shinku. And it can be low, it can be high, and that's a variance in her gameplay. Also, people talk about the downside of that. Like, I'm not really doing a whole lot. She does hit for like 100 and something thousand damage at 8 stacks with the right build, with just her 8-stack combo. And I think she gets a little bit more of a bad rap, especially if you're like a spreadsheet. And this is nothing against like theory crafters. Like theory crafter myself, I love math myself as well. But she's got a lot of weird, almost incalculable parts of her kit with her gaze mechanic, right? Does the part of the fight land up where like you need to get your gazes back? You need to get your cycle energy and your ult gaze back. Does that line up when the boss is just invincible, flying around, right? And you're not able to damage them anyway? If so, then it's not a drawback at all because you're just kind of sitting there, not doing anything anyway. Sometimes though, it'll line up where like you just like broke the boss and it's laying on the ground and you're like, I just left my ult, man. This doesn't feel too good. So sometimes it's more significant and sometimes it actually has like no downside whatsoever out there. I put a video up going over her awakenings, and in that video we share the A0 rotation, we show it in effect, and you can see, maybe I'll have it playing in the background, maybe I already do for this video as well, that sometimes it just doesn't matter at all at A0 and you just do a ton of damage, and she's gonna get even better in the future when her partner Hotori comes out, because I do believe we'll have a video on this as well, that one of her best partners right now in the form of Shinku with Nanali allows you to really get even more damage off during your burst window, just because of how the Vitabud Pustules lining up with a 1 second internal cooldown that Shinku has to actually gain that energy during her ult form. Nanali right now is the only one that was lining up with that. Hotori wasn't going to line up with that either, but she's been changed a little bit. So like the clone flower comes out 3 seconds afterwards, which makes the second flower hit 1 second apart from your base flower. So you're going to get a little bit of interaction with Hotori in that form as well, which is going to segue right into another character I want to talk about, Nanali. Now, where does Nanali go? Are we going to do Hada does power creep too much? We're going to move Nanali down to 0.5. No, we're not doing that. Nanali, she even got a little bit better in this patch because she got one more team that you can put her in. Even if you're using A0 Shinku, you want to put a Shinku team together, you have Nanali. You don't really even have to like try to work your build around putting Nanali and making her do damage on field. You can literally have her in the Shinku team as a passive and just buff the damage of your Shinku team like into the stratosphere. You're getting like 4 or 5 extra attacks with your Shinku's special ability during her ult, just because Nanali's in the party. And if you want to do the A3 plus A4 Shinku thing, where you can leave Shinku off field and do all that razzmatazz, Nanali is going to have another team that she can be used in addition to her Blossom team and in addition to her Hex team in the form of the Shinku A3 A4 team, where Nanali can also be a main DPS in that team as well. So Nanali is guaranteed a tier 0 core. Now there is a small little tidbit I want to say here. My girl, Jinwan, we've left her in T04 forever. All right, and I might be getting a little bit ahead of the curve here. And we had in Discord chat, dude, I had a little funeral for my girl because I've retired her. I've retired her out of all of my teams right now, for the most part. Or I'm going to retire her as soon as Aurora comes out. She's fine right now, but unless you're using the straight up Blossom team, I don't know if I can dictate that she's a core member of a team that you're going to put together in the future, or even right now. It just kind of like works out that like there's a Blossom team with Hotori, you can use that. There's the Shinku team, she can go in there because she's Anima, but she doesn't really do anything special there. You can have like a Jinwan Hex team that I made a video on that's pretty funny as well, like Jinwan with Hex and a little bit of Blossom out there. But I'm not sure if I want to leave her in the core category. I might move her down to 0.5. She is strong, and this is at A0. At A1, her damage gets bumped up a little bit, obviously. You know, she can do a little bit of healing as well. I'm not sure if I want to count her as a core member still. I'm on the fence, and I've just kind of thought about this in the past like couple hours or so, and I don't want my rating of Jinwan to be influenced too much about when Aurora comes out. I can see leaving Jinwan in tier 0 right now, but once we add yet another Anima character who has a Blossom reaction, right, enhancing passive, who is a support, who also heals and buffs attack and all this other stuff, I think that's when Jinwan will be bumped down to tier 0.5. So I think I'm gonna leave her in 0 for right now, but next time we make this video after Aurora's released, I'm pretty sure we're gonna be putting her in 0.5 for that reason. Another character that has, you know, kind of stood the test of time and is staying exactly where they are. King still going to be in 0.5. He gets a little bit of like, he's too hard to play. He doesn't do enough damage. He's got spammable crowd control, right? He's got really good damage. Using his basic attack combo isn't necessarily what you want to be doing with King all the time. If you've been using your King, you're just, you pull them, or you're a new player and you pull them, or you've been using them for a while and you're like, I just delete my own HP bar. Stop using his normal attack combo. He's got two different like heavy attacks basically. He's got the long press on the left click and the long press on the right click, right? You hold down dash. One of them does like an AoE thing and the other one drags people and you just spam those skills and he does wonders there. He's got a lot of really good teams, so we're not going to talk too much about them because they're all still the same teams, right? King, Daffodil, Haniel, Sakiri. You can throw Adler in there. You can put Lacrimosa and King together. You do a lot of cool stuff with your boy King. And in the future, maybe we'll get some more Hex interactions, but for right now, he's just going to be the tier 0.5. He's not like core gameplay for the basis of like, if I'm making the two strongest teams in NTE, King's right there. But he is a 0.5 character. He is really, really good. And as we said, 0.5 characters doesn't mean they're bad. So it's one away from tier 0. It just means that like a little bit more characters in the tier 0 area are used in more teams. Bi-King's just kind of like a Bi-King team. Now, speaking of 0.5, I am going to also put Hathor, I do believe, in 0.5 as well. She just got a new team as well. We've had her in like 1 for a while. The charge team with, you know, Chiz was kind of where she was having her limelight special. She got bumped up to tier 0.5 as well a little bit when Chaos came out. Got his team in there to give her another little breath of life. She's not quite tier 0 capabilities right now. I know she got the Shinku team. She's kind of just doing whatever she was doing before. A little bit of crit damage or a little bit of crit chance bonus for her Remora reaction. Does a little bit of damage, leaves the field. I will say this, if you're using Hathor in your Shinku team and you're going, oh man, I'm not getting as many activations of my Shinku special ability during her ultimate, stop using Hathor's like charged version of her skill. Use the press version. You need to get in there. You need to get Remora and charge going. You don't want to put Hathor's Remora on and be like, I'm charging up my hit. You're going to ruin the whole combo. Stop doing that, please. It's a little bit of PSA for you guys out there. Now, speaking of Lakshana characters as well, we're burning up out here. My man Chaos, still 0. He didn't go down just because Shinku came out. Doesn't make him any worse. These are some of the characters that I had to leave up in tier 0. And the more I look at Jinwan, the more I go, your time is coming. The one downside is he's kind of like locked to Hathor right now. He doesn't work the same way that Shinku does with Skia, because Skia is like creating more Remoras, not just making it 12-second duration like Hathor does. But he is a fantastic character. Does a bunch of damage off that Remora, and he's a good mainstay DPS if you're a big husbando enjoyer out there. A couple of tier 2s, we're just going to throw them out there like we talked about. Tier 2, you can put them in a party. There's someone that is kind of in that role, main DPS or something, you can replace them with a character you find in tier 2 and probably be okay with that. I'm not doing any more half rolls, by the way. I've been seeing tier lists like tier 0, tier 0.5, tier 1.5, tier 2.5, tier... No, we're not. That's garbage, all right? So tier 2, mint. You don't have Nanali, you don't have access to Jinwan, you're looking for someone to replace those characters. She's got a little bit of mix of everything, right? She's got some DPS, she's got a little bit of crowd control, not as much as Jinwan and not as much as Nanali does for DPS as well as crowd control, but you can throw her in there if you are a mint enjoyer and have a good time with her there as well. And then in addition to that, none other than my favorite right here, bam, Aurelia, Jellyfish, no legs, tier 2 as well. I don't know what else to talk about this character other than she's a solid tier 2 character. And then Skia is going to remain a tier 2 character. I am not. I think I had him actually probably like in tier 3 before. He's going to be put in tier 2 as well because we like to talk about him being able to fulfill a role. He does have a key role right now in the Shinku setup, but he doesn't really have that role outside of any other party in existence. His ability to put super long Remoras up matters to absolutely one person right now, and I'm not going to be bumping up a character be like, oh, he's good with one other character. That means Skia is tier 0 because he's in a tier 0 team. No, that's fine. Leave him in tier 2. That's where he's going to be. He is a glorified support with a, I can make Remora last very long for my charges to get charge reactions very long. My guy's being built as a full-on support in the Speedy Hedgehog set with the good book of the Grand Boys Adventure or whatever it's called. He's still a tier 2 character. His kit's garbage. He just does one very specific thing very well for one other character. Now, speaking of characters who are lasting and standing the test of time, none other than our girls, Sakiri and Haniel. You want damage, you want attack buffs, you want some defense shred, you want crit damage bonus, right? In the form of Haniel as well. You want to do some really cool stuff, or you want to be a part of some very powerful Esper cycle reactions in the form of Discord and stuff. Look no further. We got crowd control Sakiri, super good. Haniel, super awesome. Don't need to spend a lot of time on them. You guys should know that they're absolutely insane by now. You see them everywhere for a reason. I do want to talk about 2 other characters here. Lacrimosa, obviously still a tier 0 character. Absolutely fantastic main DPS character. And she even got a new team that I've been using. It's not a new team, but like it was a team that you could make before, but there really wasn't a lot of reason to make it, in the form of the other tier 0 character. I'm going to leave her in tier 0. I saw some people moving Hotori down into 0.5 for some reason, but with the addition of Shinku in charge teams being better, Hotori, if you're not using a Blossom team, which is what Hotori is really used for. Well, Shinku's not a Blossom team. You know, you use the Blossom reaction, but it's really just for charge. You're not like a full Blossom team. And a lot of the times, Hotori gets kicked out because the main character, Shinku, and then Skia, and then one other character of your choice that's an anima character, is the team. There's no room for Hotori. However, you can do a super awesome Lacrimosa, Sakiri, Hanil team, and Hotori in that team. I know it makes no sense because you have a Cosmos character and a Discord team, but the ability for you to copy the enemy skill of Lacrimosa, extremely powerful. The ability for you to copy support skills so you get reactions, so you can get in working towards up to activating Discord much more often when you cast your ultimate with Hotori. Super awesome. And it gets even better if you have like one dupe of Lacrimosa, so you can utilize her A6 that allows you to get a free psycho reaction. You can copy some psycho reactions, pop off the ultimate, do a scorch, come out, right? Go ahead, use Lacrimosa's ability, put Nova on Discord immediately. So you can do a lot of really cool stuff with Hotori and that team. She still got the Blossom team. It's still really good. And she got access to another team that actually makes sense for you to make if you're looking to make two teams together, which didn't really exist beforehand. So she got another train team, basically. The other tier 0 character in the game, right? Meow. We all know it. Esper 0 is going to be in here for a long time. Esper 0 is a problematic character because of just how strong Appraise and Engrave is, and having that instant cycle for an Esper reaction like every 12 seconds or 15 seconds. I forget what the cooldown is off the top of my head. It seems like a lot, but it's very short and allows you to do some very, very powerful things. Half the characters up here that are in that Blossom charge reaction, right? All the Lakshana, all the anima characters, they owe their strengths pretty much to Esper 0 being in that party. And if you've been trying to put together a Shinku team while having a Blossom team together, you might know what I'm talking about, because you can have Esper 0 in both of them and you go, I literally can't do this. It feels terrible to play the other team without her. That is the definition of tier 0 out there. These are the characters that are kind of shaping the meta as we see it right now. They're just that powerful, and they're just that good. Like I said, this character I think will probably fall off at some point. That is what I'm going to say about that. Daffodil, tier 1. I'm going to move Daffodil down to tier 1 at A0. At A2, you can move her up to like a 0.5. And you can do like a very similar thing we just talked about with the Lacrimosa Hotori team, where you can do like Daffodil at A2 plus Sakiri plus Hanil plus Hotori and copy the super buffed up skill of Daffodil and have her be your main DPS there. That is a really cool team. If you're a Daffodil fan, you don't own an access to Lacrimosa on your account, that is something you should definitely check out. That is a very cool team to play around with. But outside of that, I'm gonna put her in tier 0, right? We have other characters and other teams that we're looking to use, which is the Lacrimosa focus. And in my opinion, I think Lacrimosa at A0 versus Daffodil at A0, there is at least like a gap in the tier between the two of them, of the power and strength between them. So I'm gonna have to put her down in 1 for that reason. Chiz A3, A6, whatever it is you want to call it. Listen, I'm gonna put her down in 1. I think she's fine. Honestly, at this point in time, I know it's cool, man. We can put her in train and give her 50% damage bonus, and she's really easy to gear up and doesn't really need that much. You don't need to put crit chance on her. You can do that with basically every main DPS character, right? You can do that with basically every main DPS character. The only Chiz team that exists in the game is literally a charge team, and now you're comparing like Chiz to Shinku at this point. You're comparing like a Chiz and a Shinku team versus Shinku, and bare minimum, you know, A6, I'm gonna put this girl like at tier 1. It's a lot easier to earn the Fons with the scratch off tickets, at least not earning the Fons, but earning the you've gained X Fons to progress your Tycoon level now. So you should be able to get Chiz A6 pretty easy, but as you get better modules and better consoles for everyone in your party, the gap widens between like A6 Chiz and the rest of the team and what you can do in the game. We're putting this boy down here. He is literally going to be the only tier 3 character that exists. Adler, I think, is pretty cool. I think Adler is kind of similar to fulfilling the tier 2 role, where it's like you can put him in a team, but honestly, if you have access to Sakiri, you're looking for an incantation support, you probably don't need too many different incantation supports right now. There's not a ton of reason to be running like both a Hex team and a Discord team at this moment in time, because that means you're not using any of the very powerful like Cosmos type characters in your party. So you're typically picking between just Sakiri and Adler. There is a couple of teams where you run them both together. And he is pretty good there. I don't know if it's enough to move him out of tier 2 into tier 1. It's not like, oh man, my man Adler is like, he's in so many teams where like he's the definitive character for that team. So I think he's just kind of fine. I think he's okay. I don't think he's like doing anything super crazy. I have been on and off between putting Fadia in 0.5 or tier 1 or 0.5 or tier 1. I think she's got a couple of cool teams out there. We've talked about them before, right? With like the double chaos, not chaos character, but like Lacrimosa plus Daffodil plus like Fadia plus Haniel, where you just spam Nova, is pretty cool. You can also just fit her in a team where you just have like Lacrimosa, Fadia, Haniel, Sakiri, and you just get some free stuff off of your enhanced Nova reactions. I think she's a good character. The harder content that you do, the better that she gets. And I think with the right build, she is pretty powerful. She's not like in like a giga meta team, in my opinion, but I think she's like a little bit slept on, and she does offer a lot of power just because at A0, I should say, a lot of power just because it's very easy to build her for giga high HP. Have her do her role and slap people with Nova enhancement, which also does damage AoE as well. So I think she's pretty good. I don't know if I want to put her in 0.5 or down in 1. I think 1 is kind of where I want to go here. So we have like the meta driving core characters. They are all absolutely busted for different reasons. It's pick your DPS, right? There's four different DPSs, main DPSs for you to pick. Basically, Esper 0 goes in every Cosmos team. Hotori has like 3 or 4 busted teams she can be in, depending on what characters you're using. Sakiri is an all-rounder, shows up in just random teams. Haniel as well. And then, like I said, Jinwan is at the end here because she is probably just about to fall down to 0.5 finally. With that being said, guys, hope you guys have a blessed one out there. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Oh, make sure to like the video or whatever. I don't know.